Welcome back to On the Issues. Councilmember Siebert is back along with Chief Assistant in the Prosecutor's Office, Mary Stoner, and Susan Martinez, a supervisor in the Neighborhood Services Department, to tell us about a new city program, and it's obviously going to make a huge difference for us.
We're hoping so. Now we will have a prosecutor to represent the people in helping with many of our severe cases of neighborhood maintenance violations.
Okay, now Councilmember, how did this whole thing come about?
Well, about 2 legislative sessions ago, Senator Mark Spitzer had sponsored a municipal abatement bill. It was a civil abatement, and what it did was change a process. When we have court-ordered abatement, we used to be the bottom lien holder, which meant we would get about 9% of the taxpayers' money back when we had to go through a court-ordered process to clean up somebody's property. We're talking the severe of the severe. And after the change, we are now the #1 lien holder behind taxes, which means that now, after a lengthy process, court hearings, etc., we can actually go in, rectify the situation through tax dollars, and have a good chance of getting our money back. So we're seeing an increase in compliance, because now we have the ability to get our money back. And we're not there to make money. We don't want to do it, but we're talking the severe cases. And what's nice now is working with our neighborhood maintenance and zoning enforcement group and the prosecutor's office. Now, instead of just a NIMSY inspector going to court as just a witness, now we will have somebody from the prosecutor's office representing the people, the neighborhoods. Because so many times these neighborhoods are devastated and they say, why can't you help us? Why is it taking so long? How come there's so many continuances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And it seems like there's always a reason to postpone these hearings and continue them. And now we are going to have legal representation for the people.
Councilmember, what kinds of problems are we talking about? Are we talking about violators, trash violators, abandoned cars? What are we talking about?
The violations could vary. In fact, you know, it could be anything from fences falling down and debris laying out in the street. I have some photos in my office that are just unbelievable. Parts of the district, small areas, look like a third world country. And it's because many of these cases were properties, rental properties, that were owned by the same landlord or slumlord, whichever name you prefer. I prefer slumlord, to be honest with you. And these violations were so severe, and they kept postponing these cases. And the neighborhood's asking, why can't you do something about this? And so it could be almost anything, broken windows to the landscaping not being kept up, and maybe we have somebody here that can elaborate on some of the cases they've run across, but they are severe.
Okay. Now, Susan, are you the first person where this process starts? Tell us, yes, how that process works.
Working with the Neighborhood Services Department, we handle complaints regarding the Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance. Citizens call us whenever they come across a property that is blighting or vacant, that poses a hazard or just a blight in their area. We send an inspector out to determine the types of violations, and they in turn contact the responsible party for that property by notice of violation and try to get them to comply voluntarily. When that doesn't occur, the inspector then has the ability to issue what we call civil citation for the neighborhood preservation violations. And once they issue that citation, they set an arraignment date into court and currently present the case to the hearing officer and ask for certain types of fines depending on how severe the violations are on the property.
Okay. Now, Mary, you would be the next part of that process?
That's right. Once a case is actually set in Division 5 of the Phoenix Municipal Court, the City Prosecutor's Office will cover and handle the prosecutions of all civil neighborhood preservation ordinance violations and zoning violations that are set and heard in Division 5.
Okay, now, is this the first for the city?
Yes, we previously have not handled those types of citations in the municipal court system, but we will begin on September 22nd.
And what are you hoping to add to the process? Speed it up? Will this speed it up? Will this help you to prosecute faster?
Once the matter is set for the hearing, we will be involved in notifying the witnesses and making sure they're available for trial. We will be actually conducting the hearings on the date that the hearing is set. And then obviously at sentencing, if there's aggravating factors that need to be argued, we will be determining on a case-by-case basis, reviewing the case, what arguments need to be made.
Okay. Now, Councilmember, this certainly gives it a lot more punch.
I believe so. Actually, I think it makes it fair, and I think that's what every process should be. Every citizen, even if they're accused of blighted conditions and causing those blighted conditions, should have a fair hearing. I totally agree with that. But the citizens should have representation too, the people who live next to them. And so this is, I think, going to level the playing field so that everybody gets a fair hearing. And so the neighborhood maintenance and zoning enforcement inspectors aren't the only people going there to court. There are actually people from the prosecutor's office representing the people.
Okay. What is the number that people should call, Susan, in case they do want to report something like that?
The number that they can call is 262-7844, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we have a 24-hour line too that number will refer them to if they want to call in the evenings or on the weekends.
Okay. Up until this point, have you had lots of cases?
We've
Hundreds,
had,
or how many cases?
as far as in civil court, we have increased over the last year or so in the number of citations that our inspectors have written. We've had to extend our dockets in civil court. Our inspectors used to appear in court, I believe, just on a Wednesday and a Friday. Now they're set throughout the whole week, depending on what inspector it is, because we've been issuing so many due to the changes with the neighborhood preservation ordinance. It's made it easier.
And overall, this is just to help make our city better, isn't it?
It is. I don't think in my mind there's any doubt that there's a correlation between severe blighted conditions and crime. And if we can clean up the areas and help people be proud of their area, because so many times it's the neighbors who are the victims when people have severe violations. And these neighbors keep calling my office, and I'm sure the other council offices, asking for help and relief. And the process takes so long. And like I say, I think this will help level the playing field so that everybody gets a fair hearing, including the citizens.
Okay. And Mary, do you also think that this will, as the council member said, speed up the process a little bit?
Well, as I said, we will be ensuring that all the witnesses are properly subpoenaed and available for court. We'll be handling any motions to continue that will be filed and arguing if they're appropriate or inappropriately filed and our position on them. So our presence in the courtroom, I suppose, could speed things up in terms of arguing against the motions to continue.
Okay. Councilmember, now when does this actually get started? Do we have a start date yet?
I believe it's towards the end of September. What is the actual date?
We will begin staffing Division 5 on September 22nd.
Okay, so then people can automatically start calling Susan, your office?
Yes, anytime.
Okay, and then from there it just goes through the process. Now, how will you determine, will it be the most severe cases first, or will you just take them on a numerical basis?
I'm sure they're going to try to cover as many cases as they can. My wishes are that, at the bare minimum, that the severe cases are represented by the prosecutor's office, because when you get calls from communities and neighborhoods and you drive out and you see the severe devastation, you understand the problem that they're going through, and they do need the assistance.
Okay, great. Well, listen, thank you for joining us, and thank you so much, Susan. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got some good news coming up after this final break. Keep watching On the Issues.
Little Jamie can't blow out the candles. Jamie is having an asthma attack. Asthma is a cruel disease that paralyzes a child's ability to breathe, and there is no cure. For Jamie, or the nearly 5 million other children with asthma, and with asthma on the rise, your child could be next. Help the American Lung Association find a cure. Call 1-800-LUNG-USA. When you can't breathe, nothing else matters.
School can be very difficult if a visual or learning disability keeps you from reading the books you need. But a nonprofit volunteer-based organization called Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic can provide you with all the textbooks you need on tape so you can learn by listening. It can open the door to good grades, higher education, a fulfilling career.
To learn more, call Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic, 1-602-468-9144.
Welcome back. National Night Out turned out to be a huge success for District 1. Patrick Klein has more in this Good News Report.
National Night Out kicked off its events by landing a helicopter.
We just got here, so we're looking to see what they're doing.
Bring it on!
The message of the night was simple: fight crime and take back the neighborhoods. Games, music, and a little bit of singing got everyone excited and involved in the celebration.
911, say it! 911, I can't hear you! Say it! 911, do it again, say it! 911.
Even Sheriff Joe got in on the event.
Well, I think another thing, you can see the demonstrations, the helicopters, the K-9 units, and so on. So I think the public can understand what type of equipment and what our law enforcement officers go through to fight crime.
It's beautiful. I've never been to this one before, so this is my first time.
The goal is mainly education. It's educating the public as to the services that are available to them and how they can make their neighborhoods safer.
The fire and police departments and even APS turned out to give the public info.
We have a lot of our information available on our dusk to dawn security lighting products.
National Night Out gives neighbors a chance to get together and meet each other. And overall, people had a great time.
Having fun.
This year's National Night Out is being considered a success, and event coordinators are hoping that everyone walks away from here learning something new about their neighborhood.
Sounds like everybody has a great time, and this brought the community together.
Everybody did. Everybody had a great time at the kickoff event for National Night Out. I had the opportunity on the evening of National Night Out to visit most of the neighborhoods participating in my district, and everybody had a wonderful time.
Councilmember, what does that do for the momentum?
It keeps crime under control. The last neighborhood I hit was after 9 o'clock. They were still out there. They had signs in their neighborhood that said, "Drug dealers keep out," and they were fighting a drug house in their neighborhood, and they were active, and I bet they were up after midnight. They were having a great time.
Okay, well listen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And thank you for joining us. That's our show for this time.